All right, party people, today in the Creative Corner, we are joined by Nicole Comer and Eric Clayton from the 4-Day Workweek podcast, also NP Consulting Stream. Did I get it correct? How are you guys doing today?
Yes, you did. Great. Thanks for having us.
No problem. Thank you for joining me on Create and Hustle, where we like to ask creatives how they're taking their ideas and turning them into businesses. So when I saw, what you guys had going on, I thought that'd be a little interesting, a different spin as to doing podcasting and what that means. So tell us a little bit about, your show, your consulting, and what you guys are doing with that.
So I started a business, the NP Consulting Stream, about a year ago. I started out, I've been doing accounting and consulting for over 10 years. And I found myself like, okay, I can do this. The pandemic's going on. How about I start working for myself? So I started doing virtual CFO services, and I found it to be, okay, I don't need the law firm or the accounting firm to help me along the way. I can do this myself. And so it really gave me an opportunity to just go out on my own and try. And the podcast came up because, Eric is learning more about business because of us dating. So, we've been talking and talking. I'm like, well, I should share this with other people. And so that's how we kind of came up with the podcast of talking about the 4-Day Workweek. Mm-hmm.
We are in the Creative Corner with Eric Clayton and Nicole Comer of the 4-Day Workweek podcast. So, you also said that you guys are dating. So tell me what that's like as far as like having a business podcast that you have to do with someone you're dating. Like, how does that work?
Well, I think because we gel off of each other pretty well. It's two Virgos, so we're perfectionists.
Okay.
We've been dating for a little over 2 years, but I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah. So I mean, like you said, you want to do things like very perfected, but we learned early on, we've grown, like you can't have it too structured because we like to have fun. We like to bring fun to the business. So like our focus is the 4-Day Workweek. And what we say about the 4-Day Workweek is who wouldn't want another day off? Like, if I can't survey nobody to say, hey, I don't want another day off. It's like, well, I need the money. It's like, what if you could have another day off and have the same money that you have? That's what the proposal of the 4-Day Workweek has been. And it's starting to spread globally. I mean, it's going in other countries and now it's moving here. We got Denver. We got California trying to pass those laws. And they say, hey, if you work over 4 days, that's going to be overtime. So we're just monitoring that and celebrating that we might be changing and shifting in our lifetimes from a 5-day work week to a 4-day work week.
Yeah.
You're listening to Create and Hustle on 106.1 FM Richmond. And we are here with Eric and Nicole. So you guys said you started 2021 with the podcast. Like it's been almost a year now. So what are the difficulties that you guys are running into when you're trying to take what you already know and now learning the podcast aspect, because that's a whole different aspect as well?
It is. So I think everything has been a learning curve, especially with the marketing aspect. But what Eric brings to the table is he's a classically trained pianist, and he also is really good with equipment and just editing. So he is the like brains behind it. I'm just the mouth that gives the information.
Yeah.
I just talk, and I'm like, he edits it down so well. It's like, like this is awesome. But I think because of his expertise with editing and music as a whole, it was really helpful and it was almost seamless. But podcasting itself is different because you really want to captivate your audience, but not go too far. And so we're learning not to extend it beyond the specific topic. And I think for podcasters, that's one key tip is like, if that's what your topic says in the subject line, stick to it. And we try to make sure our episodes are under 25 minutes most of the time, because it's a lunch show. It's supposed to be, people at lunch, you get a good laugh during your lunch break. And for people of color, we don't really have people to talk to during lunch most of the times in the workplace, especially if you're in a corporate setting.
That's very true,
and so we feel like on Thursdays, we're the person that you're talking to across the table and you're listening in on our conversation. And sometimes people laugh and chime in and send us messages and they're like, I was thinking the same thing. So so that's really helpful.
I like it. Listen, I've been podcasting since 2013 and I run a podcast network of short form podcast. So I totally understand the progress. I always like to ask people, you know, how it is for them in their first year, because I know it could be tough with consistency and, like you said, marketing and things like that. So you also mentioned, Nicole, before the interview started, we talked about how, you know, you guys are thinking about relocating to Puerto Rico. So, and I always say on this show, because, you know, you're taking your ideas to a business, and the pandemic played a large part in that. So how did the pandemic play a part in even thinking about considering going to somewhere like Puerto Rico to live?
Well, we're in a virtual workspace, so being in an office is, you know, no longer an importance. And if I can still get the work done wherever I'm at, you know, I should be able to do it from wherever. Now, as far as the full term being in Puerto Rico, that's still up for debate. You know, like
what percentage are you
still,
guys on? What percentage right
well,
now?
the longer you do it off and on, the more you're like, oh, maybe I should check out some other stuff too before I make a final decision. But what I would suggest to people is test before you commit. You know, we've done several trial runs throughout the last year. Like, we'll do 2 to 3 weeks and go home. We'll do a month or go home. But we've been testing it to see, where do we want to live? Do we even want to live here? What does life look like? And so we're finding, okay, well, we can always go back home to Chicago because we have a home there with family. And so, you know, Chicago will always be home. But bouncing to Puerto Rico, it's like, okay, this might work, but you know, they had a major power outage for like 5 days last week. I was just about to say that, yeah. What do? Do you work? Do you not work? Like, how do you survive in those settings? Yeah. You know, if food is scarce or if the power is scarce, like, what do you plan to do to continue to work? So it's a learning curve.
We're on in the creative corner on Create and Hustle 106.1 Richmond FM with Nicole and Eric. So tell us a little bit about the services that you guys offer and, you know, the kinds of things that you talk about on the podcast.
So the podcast is basically about solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, and people who have already built their business looking to move into the next space. I personally am a virtual CFO and business coach, so I do both. I do the virtual CFO because I've served as a CFO and a financial director as well. And so I provide more bookkeeping services, accounting services, and making sure that people who are starting a business also have enough information to make sure that they're doing a sound job before they just jump out and maybe do something that may be detrimental financially to, you know, themselves. And so I work with clients, some mid-level, some high-level, and I also work with startups. And then Eric also helps out sometimes bookkeeping, and he's also starting his own solopreneur journey of actually starting to teach. So he's learning, you know, along the way. I was like, if I'm teaching other people, why am I not teaching you? Yeah. So that's where we're at with that.
All right, people, you heard it first. Nicole Comer, Eric Clayton of the 4-Day Workweek podcast and MP Consultant Stream. Make sure you follow them. Tell the people where they can find you on socials and your website, all that good stuff.
So they can find us at the4dayworkweek.com and the 4dayworkweek.com, and that is the number 4, is the number 4 dayworkweek.com. And they can also find me at mpconsultingstream.com as well. The link in the 4-Day Workweek will take you to MP Consulting Stream. MP Consulting Stream is what's funding the 4-Day Workweek. So the podcast is a part of the business. And so we definitely love what we do, and we are looking forward to seeing more people get to their 4-day work week.
Listen, so am I. So I want to thank you guys for joining us on Create and Hustle, where we like to ask creators, how did you take your idea and turn it into a business? Thank you guys for joining me. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
All right.